Good afternoon. I'm Dimitri Kipiani from Orient Logic Company. I'll make a brief introduction. Several years, our company has worked for several years on the comprehensive approach to the construction of and maintenance of the data center physical infrastructure. And very often we encounter the following situation. So our potential clients or customers or any organizations try to make any design themselves. It might be done by a chief energy specialist, or it might be done by the IT staff, and they work but so 2, 3, 10 servers might be maintained by yourself, and it will work before your infrastructure exceeds the threshold. But they construct it spontaneously. They find a room and then equip it with some devices, but this infrastructure cannot grow, and your requirements might double. And in this particular situation, it's very difficult to add some capacity to it. And at the next stage, agencies, organizations also try to construct this engineering infrastructure themselves, but very often the situation repeats, and they use this more civilized approaches, because there are several vendors that can provide their own solutions to different companies and agencies. And our company has worked in different agencies and constructed and adapted the projects of the customers, adapt to the requirements of the customers. And we'll have to take into account their requirements.
Otherwise, quite quickly, some problems may start. In this regard, Orient Logic started working on the creation of our design team, our project team that will complete the entire cycle. First, it will establish the business task, then develop the technical requirement, job description, and then if the client wishes so, we will offer solution, including implementation, installation, and technical support during the next 10 years as a minimum. Our team, which comprises several people, but thanks to the Schneider office, Georgian office, and Mr. Alexander Maisuradze managed to create a system where in Georgia not only Orient Logic and 2 or 3 persons working in Georgia, but huge team of Schneider electrics. So we have direct access and unlimited access to any engineer of any country. Now I want to give the floor to my friend and colleague Oleg Kravets, who is a design engineer from Kiev, and he designed several big facilities, and he will speak on how shall we approach the planning of the data processing centers. Oleg is a member of our team, as well as many other people whom you see on the slides. Thank you very much. Oleg.
Я думаю, как всегда, была какая-то неприкрытая лесть.
Yeah, I don't know what he was talking about. I'm sure that he was very flattering, and exaggerating my credit. But and actually we'll be talking about some technical solutions in our data. We have some complex decisions here, and here we mean not just products of the Schneider Electric, but actually what we are, what sort of services we are providing, and at what stage what advantages we can provide. Not just vendor or producer, but also as a qualified engineers in the construction site. So how to optimize the work, in other words. The production portfolio can be divided conventionally in four categories. This is the static solutions. This is the commutative, the static so cables, products, and some cases, etc. Perforated, etc., etc. Cooling systems. There are different types of the cooling systems. There are some fridge machines, refrigerators. There are also the power supply. There is the different types of the frequency, voltage, etc. again. And at each of this stage we have the product, which covers the full range of necessary products in this field. And monitoring systems, dispatching system, which allows us to provide the quality services. And human factor, of course, is very important for the exploitation and operation of the sites and of the devices. Schneider Electric. So I used to be at certain stage I was the commissioner, I was the customer, then I was the partner, and I'm an engineer there, I'm the member of this team. So what is good for in this company, it gives you lots of abilities, lots of perspectives, and we have different types of the different types of the blocks of electric systems, electric devices, and so the partners which we have and who we collaborate with, we don't want just to sell the device and equipment to them, that we want to provide the optimum solutions for your challenges and problems, which to maximally adapt to your requirements and needs. So if we are looking at the consultation services, each facility has its life cycle. It can be divided into 5 stages. This is the idea. When the investor, the customer has an idea, gets an idea, or to modernize some structure, and to provide the reliability or protectiveness, safety of it. So since we do not have much time, I would like to stop on over the first stage and then on the last stage. The first stage, because this is the stage which so if we make any mistakes, any error here, so do not detailize all the technical terms of reference, not to determine and define this is the substantial or outsourcing, then we will not be able to offer the quality services. And the last one, the commissioning or operations. So I had a case when we had projecting one data center, and the investor had wanted to ensure, so guarantee, safeguard itself, and he asked us to go to have the field visit. The actual capital was the investor, to go to Israel, and when we came there, they told us that. So to do the construction, actually, it's to install things. It's very easy, but to operate, to write all the regulations, to optimize it, to do the appropriate dispatching system. This is the main challenge. and without qualified and quality professional human resources, these problems cannot be solved. Now, let's go to the... So here we have the Georgian colleagues and some of our colleagues which I communicate in Kyiv. In Schneider Electric, we have virtual group that is Central Solution Tip. So we have colleagues India, Netherlands, British, French. And so we are working on these issues in a complex way, in a comprehensive way. And so therefore, we are trying, we have comprehensive approach and actually trying to deal with all the details in a complex way. During the previous year, this is the number of the technical solutions and achievements, main achievements which were made during the previous year. I would like to draw attention to the development of the certification and documentation. So it is very important for our clients who has foreign investors. While through developing certifications, they minimize their risk, and it is also the guarantee of the thing that the company will be providing the services with that level of accessibility which is under regulations, provided under regulations. And so this is the certification tiers or levels. So we certified the data center park in Kyiv with the capacity of 24 megawatts. But all the facilities are subject to certification. So when these technical decisions are made and you are certifying the facility, certification is divided in two stages. So first of all, so this is the necessary document should be provided, and one of the points, point 8 or point 7, it comprises from 140, 150 projects for power supply. And it is very important that if the customer takes decision that the certification is needed, is required for this level of security. So it is very important. What we mean under sub-complexes. So I want to show just that here we have the list of all the engineering subsystems, and if these systems, if we can say that our products probably covers half of this list, and so this is the ventilation systems, and so when the technical decisions are made by us, we are taking into consideration all the technical details so that we can, all components work transparent and with one single logic. And this logic is maximally transparent not only for us, processors, but also for the whole staff. We want to, so what are the guiding principles for us? Actually, when, for example, I was reading once a book, The Guidance for the Engineering Water Supply Systems, and there were the conclusions. The book was quite big, and the conclusions are quite simple. The first thing is the technical decision should be simple till certain level. The technical decisions which are processed, they should be clear and transparent for people who has the indirect attitude and relationship with the infrastructure, and the technical decisions which we process, which we develop, if they're not clear and they don't provide any valuable information, so it means that this facility will never be able to effectively work. Therefore, we'll try that everything is clear to everyone and to have them maximum energy efficient. If we look at the factors who are sometimes not underestimated, I would like to say here. So this is the overestimated requirements to the engineered infrastructure to its facility. And sometimes they are formulated by IT departments, and IT departments are not responsible for receiving technical terms of reference. So they are very often. So sometimes they say if the requirement is 50 megawatts, let them, the energy is provided 100, to be just guaranteed, to be safeguarded. The second factor is the lack of the strategic plan in one case. So in other case, it is much simpler to exploit the partners, providers of this equipment. And the low level of detailization of everything, all the systems. So very frequently it happens that when sometimes they cannot, the customer cannot formulate what they actually need. I would like you to briefly talk about the sometimes the facilities are commissioned without being undergoing tests on the nominal capacities, installed capacity. It is very important. This is very expensive, but it is very important because for the customers it is very valuable. And the customer needs to, it is very important for the customers. It's also important because the all equipment, what is commissioned, they should be the guarantees of the origin producer. And if there are any faults, then the plant will carry out repair works free of charge. So I would like to give some examples. This is the level of maturity in Ukraine. We have some of the companies who modernize some of these structures. There are some obsolete IT services facilities. On one server, for example, there is one operational platform. And I had a trend virtualization. He told me, my colleague told me that there are, so sometimes there are 40 such machines and facilities for one server. And 40, if we put them into physical servers, so that then it will be lots of...
1,5–2 тонны, который практически невозможно будет, скажем так,
So it means...
Следующее, служба эксплуатации. Я не уже, наверное, 2
So these operations. Construction of facilities is quite easy, but especially if you are not have done any testing, that it might happen that in a year or in a couple of years' time, then that maybe the installed capacity was the 100 kilowatts, and you might have some problems, and the customer just has nowhere to go. As an example, I would like to say that when we are building premises for a server, we say that there should be special, for example, some special premises areas are located so that, and some concrete or brick walls. And concrete, it's like sponge, you know. It absorbs the humidity during winter, and some. So if you take such
this kind of the premises, if we have actually the humidity there, the sarcophage will consist of 30 liters of water. And in case of the fire, all of this water, if you do not have inside of our premises, with the screened premises, for instance, in the regard of the 60 minutes, all of this will be in our data center, on our servers. The next factor, this is quite an open information, however, no one is using them. But if we take the parameters of the microclimate, when I left it just 2 days ago, I prepared this slide. We can take the information about the parameters of a microclimate from 1933 up to 2014 from the airport of Tbilisi, and you can take what kind of parameters were detected here. If we take the last 20 years, and why 20 years? Because that the assessment of the projected documents, they always ask about the parameters of the microclimate over the last 20 years. So we see the maximum is the 30 degree, and not at the open sun. I today also asked whether it is true or not, and they said, and even the sort of the fire is possible time by time. So this is information which we can just abandon. When we are working on the technical data and the vendor is asking about the certificate, we go to the agencies and we make more precise the information. And why it is so important? Because the outside blocks of the conditioning, they are calculated for this 40-45 degree. And quite often, the vendors, etc., they just would like to sell it out, these condensing block, they may just go beyond all kind of the characteristics, and we have to take into account also these parameters. Very briefly, I would like to draw attention to the example how we have to actually take into account the characteristic traits of the premises. This information is necessary for the vendor at the initial stage. And I just saw in the internet about the 11 center is the price for the electricity in Georgia. It means that if you put the iron, for instance, you at the end, and you didn't turn it off, at the end of the year, you will pay $983. Now about the function, you see it's a free cooling, and C, this is chemical. It's for the compressor. And we receive what, for instance, the machine, the refrigerator for the microclimate of Georgia will be working as a compressor, reducing the partially, then the half of a year will be working in the regime of free cooling. During a year we can save 3,000 euros. So these two, the refrigerators, their price is about 8,000 up to 10,000 euros. So 3 years are necessary in order to buy out or reimburse its cost. It is reasonable, for instance, at this stage of the technical economic justification, just to have better and multi-effective devices. if in the company the system for the motivation of the energy professionals was just to save 1 kilowatt in order to have the higher salary, we would have had the best, the effective systems. The reliability of the system, first of all, shall be identified, and the weak point. Last week we had in Kiev one incident. There were two the powers, and in case of the accident, if one transformer is falling down, then the another is turned on. If the another is turned off, then the second one is, and AVR also was at the same time empowered. Therefore, everything was shut down. In fact, we just needed to have the control of the given AVR, which after it has the 3 pieces of it. So maybe this is a very minor thing, however, it is really very important. The next stage is the reliability of this system, and it is in a direct proportion with the cost, and quite rarely you find that it is necessary to have the tier 4, because the tier 3, if we compare with the tier 2, without any problem you can reach. For instance, it can be 20% more expensive, and it is just enough to put there 2 branches and have the permanent power for the block of power. So, of course, there are no such devices which could solve all of your problems, but we just need to solve this specific problem. And maybe we need to use the principle of which is necessary also in the engineering structure. So if you don't sleep, thank you very much. And if you have the questions, of course, we are ready to answer. Thank you very much indeed.